July 25, 1000, 944, 2,000 American bombers. One fatal error. 111 Americans killed by their own air force. And then the German line broke anyway. The kill chain. Here at the kill chain we dissect decisions, not battles. Bradley asked for parallel bomb runs. They flew perpendicular. Those bombs that killed his men shattered Peninsular. The disaster and the victory were the same event. 7 weeks. The Bocage had stopped every American advance. The hedgerows of Normandy were not obstacles, they were fortresses. Each field a kill zone, each crossing a potential ambush. Since June 6th, American divisions had advanced measured in yards. Operation Goodwood, British attempt, July 18, 400 tanks. Bradley needed a different solution, not more armor, more air. The plan: carpet bomb a 7,000-yard rectangle into rubble. 2,500 bombers would hit a 2,500-yard deep corridor. The ground forces would follow the bombs within 3 hours. What could go wrong? Bradley had one specific demand. Bomb runs parallel to the store road, not across it. Parallel meant the bombs would not cross the American line. The 8th Air Force heard something different. They flew perpendicular. You have 2,000 bombers. The misunderstanding is already in. The preliminary attack came on July 24. Weather scrubbed it. But some bombs had already fallen. 25 Americans killed. Culin wanted to cancel. Bradley refused. The plan continued. We use this war diary entry because it resolves the. Bradley's written order said parallel. The verbal briefing was ambiguous. D'Este's 1983 analysis, drawing on NARA records, argues Bradley knew. Here at the kill chain, we analyze through primary sources. Subscribe. The next operation drops this week. July 25, 1000, 944. And then the bombers came back. 1,800 heavy bombers. The sky filled with aircraft. The bomb line, the store, Perhia's road below them. The 30th Infantry Division was positioned 600 yards back. General Culin had insisted on that margin. Bradley wanted less. The bombs began to fall. At first they held, then the pattern drifted north toward American lines. The wind caught the bomb fall. Standard physics, catastrophic result. Bombs struck 30th Division positions, then further positions, then command. Sergeant Marcus Stevenson, 30th Division, recalled it precisely. The bombs did not sound different from German ones. 111 Americans died. 490 were wounded. Among the dead, General Lesley McNair, 3-star general. McNair should not have been in that foxhole. FUSAG, the Phantom Army Patton, was given command of. McNair had replaced Patton in the FUSAG fiction. He chose the forward observation post himself, against all advice. 7 weeks of Bocage had a second problem: armor could. Bradley lamented it at a planning conference. No solution existed. Sergeant Curtis Culin was in the room. Steel prongs, welded to the front bow of a Sherman. The metal came from German beach obstacles at Normandy. 500 tanks fitted before Cobra began. Bradley's own words. The Bocage problem, solved by an enlisted man using. Now the bombs had fallen. Had they done enough? Fritz Bayerlein's after-action report reached Army Group B that evening. He wrote, "My left flank has been annihilated. Panzer Lehr had lost 70% of its fighting strength. The survivors could not fight. Bombenshock had taken them." Blumensen's 1961 official history confirms Bayerlein's report is accurate. The sources disagree on one question: could Bayerlein have held? Cullin's 7th Corps did not wait for that answer. The first day, resistance was heavier than expected. Bradley's staff grew anxious. Was Cobra failing? July 26, the line began to give, slowly at first. German reserves had been strict for the Eastern Front. Collins pushed the taunt armored and honest infantry through the. By July 27, American armor was moving freely behind German. What the 8th Air Force had done to its own Avengers was the bottleneck. All roads to France converged here. Patton waited. His Third Army was activated August 1. Third Army, August 1. Patton given full operational command. He had 3 instructions: advance west, south, and everywhere simultaneously. The Avranches Gap was 1 road wide. The traffic control officer at Avranches was awarded a bronze. Patton crossed the Seine River without authorization. Bradley let it stand. France was opening. August 7, Hitler's counterstroke. Operation Bocage, Mortain. Hitler ordered the Panzer Reserve West to cut Cobra's breakthrough. The ultra intercept reached Bradley before the German tanks moved. This was the gift Cobra had never intended to give. If Patton continued east and the British pushed south, Patton's 15th Corps reached Argentan on August 13. He stopped. Bradley halted him. The reasons remain disputed to this day. Bradley's memoir, I feared collision with British forces moving south. Patton's account, Bradley stopped me for political reasons. British-American command, D'Este places it plainly. The gap at Falaise was unnecessary. Between August 12 and 21, an estimated 20,000 Germans, but 50,000 were captured inside the Falaise pocket. German 7th Army and 5th Panzer Army effectively ceased to. Eisenhower called the Falaise Road one of the greatest killing. What would you have done? Close the gap? Bradley accepted the criticism publicly 30 years later. The Cullin's memoir disagrees on one critical point of timing, or the record cannot resolve the verbal exchange between Bradley. This is where the archive speaks, and then goes. We cannot tell you what was said. Paris fell on August 25, 6 weeks after Cobra. The operational geometry was set by Cobra. The question historians have not resolved: was Cobra controlled? Bradley's own account contains a detail he did not intend. He writes, I had asked specifically for a parallel bomb, but the 8th Air Force mission briefing shows perpendicular was. D'Este's analysis, the written order used ambiguous language. The single sentence that could have prevented everything. Air-ground coordination doctrine was rewritten after Cobra, explicitly. USAF Historical Studies 70 documents the chain. In our assessment, this was the most consequential communication failure. Not because it failed, because it succeeded through disaster. Bayerlein's division was shattered, not by design. Every thread converged at one point. The Stolo wrote, July. The decision that unlocked France was not brilliance. 2,500 heavy bombers. You cannot outfight that with hedgerows. But the human cost of that volume fell on American. McNair's family received the telegram on July 27. His death was classified. The FUSAG deception required it. FUSAG continued operating as a deception after the Manet. The story does not end at Falaise. The 20,000 Germans who escaped Falaise fought at the. This is the unresolved consequence of Bradley's halt at Argentan. Cobra ended one stalemate. It created conditions for the next. Cobra changed everything. Doctrine changed one sentence. Air-ground coordination, bomb run direction must be confirmed in writing. That procedure, born from the deaths of 100. The Bocage solution also lasted beyond the war itself. Sergeant Culin received the Legion of Merit. Bayerlein survived the war. He spent years giving testimony. His testimony is the most detailed account of what carpet. Bradley died in 1981, still carrying the question of McNair. His memoir is careful on this point. What the archive tells us, the warning was there. 25 Americans died on July 24. The plan continued unchanged. In our assessment, this is the single worst air-ground coordination. Not because largest, because it happened twice. The second warning you ignore is not a warning. Cobra succeeded. France liberated. Europe free 11 months later. 11 months that began with bombs falling on American soldiers. The 30th Division, the most bombed by their own. They received no apology. The report blamed wind drift. The men who were bombed knew the difference between wind, that gap between the official account and the archive. Operation Cobra, the breakout that began with an error. The doctrine moment, Cobra directly rewrote joint fires coordination for, from Korea to Vietnam to Iraq, the forms required before. 111 men died teaching the military how to. Whether that is tribute or indictment depends on which document. We have read both. We leave the verdict to you. The sources are in the description. The bibliography is complete. Was Farley's gap Bradley's fault, or Patton's? Your verdict. The next operation is already in the archive. Full tactical breakdown pinned in the comments.